Los Angeles was a strange place. It carried a soft glow even when the skies were gray, as if the entire city refused to admit sadness could exist beneath its palm trees. Every street felt like a promise, every billboard felt like a whisper, you can be more here. You can shine. But dreams had a cost. And Kate knew that cost better than most. She came to Lo with a suitcase that barely closed and a heart full of half-written melodies. She believed music lived in her chest like a restless bird, something she had to release before it scratched her apart. Songwriting was her life, even when it paid nothing, even when the world grew tired of listening. She worked nights at a small cafe in Silver Lake, spending her mornings writing lyrics on the backs of receipts and napkins. She wrote about loneliness and long drives on empty highways. She wrote about the kind of love that stayed behind even after a person walked away. When things felt especially heavy, she went to Griffith Observatory and watched the city glow beneath her. She liked to imagine that all that light came from dreams, millions of them trying to rise at the same time. Sometimes, she whispered her own dream to the wind, hoping it might reach the right ears someday. What she didn't know was that the wind was already carrying something toward her. Or someone. Graham arrived in La the same night Kate sat at the observatory steps humming a sad tune. He stood inside a rideshare car looking out at the crowded streets, wondering if he had made another mistake. Life felt full of mistakes lately. He had been a cinematographer in New York, small films, art projects, a few commercials he never wanted to watch again. But after his father died, something in him cracked quietly. The grief followed him everywhere, sitting in every shadow, in every sound. He needed distance, so he left New York behind. Lo wasn't a fresh start. It was just somewhere else. Somewhere he hoped wouldn't hurt as much. He rented a small room in Echo Park from a retired actor who kept forgetting Graham's name. He told people he came to Lo for new opportunities, but the truth was simpler. He didn't know who he was without his father's steady presence. He didn't know how to build a life again. Most days, he carried a camera with him even when he wasn't filming. He told himself he was capturing moments, but he loved the camera for one quiet reason: it made distance feel allowed. The lens stood between him and the world. It protected him from having to feel too much. Still, Lo was full of faces that glowed under sunlight, and sometimes he caught himself wanting to know their stories. Especially when he saw her. It happened inside the cafe where Kate worked. It was a quiet morning, the kind where the sun looked tired and the streets felt soft. Graham ordered a black coffee because he didn't know what else to choose. He wasn't picky, he just didn't care. Kate handed him the cup and gave a polite smile, the kind she gave every customer. But something in her eyes trembled, only slightly, like a flicker. Graham noticed. He had always been too good at reading emotions, even through small cracks. He thanked her and walked to a corner table. Kate returned to wiping the counter, something she often did when her mind wandered. But she kept glancing toward the man with the camera bag. She couldn't tell why. Maybe it was because he looked lonely in a familiar way. She knew that kind of quietness. It lived inside her too. She didn't know he had already noticed her glancing. After a while, he raised his coffee cup in a shy, silent thanks, maybe for the drink, maybe for the glance, maybe for the small human moment. She smiled back. It was nothing, but also something. 2 days later, fate or coincidence, or the city's strange magic, brought them together again. Graham was filming street shots outside the cafe. Kate stepped out with 2 trash bags, saw him, and hesitated. "You're filming the trash area?" she asked, confused. He lowered the camera. "No, I was filming the street. But it accidentally drifted to the trash area." She laughed softly. It sounded like a note from a music box. "Well, that's for you. Artistic trash. That's the best kind," he replied. The conversation could have ended there, but the morning air felt strangely gentle, like it wanted to hold them in place longer. "You're a filmmaker?" she asked. "Cinematographer," he corrected softly. Kind of trying to be again." She noticed the heaviness behind those words but didn't push. She understood the feeling of trying to be something again. Instead, she nodded and pointed at his camera. "It suits you." "The camera, I mean." He blinked, surprised. "You can tell that from just looking." She shrugged. "I can tell when someone loves what they're holding." Something warm moved between them. A gentle thread. She told him she wrote songs. He told her he liked quiet stories. They talked for 7 minutes before her manager yelled for her to come back. But those 7 minutes were enough. When she went inside, Graham lifted his camera and filmed the street again. But the focus wasn't steady. He realized his hands were shaking. It was night. Kate sat outside the cafe after her shift, hugging her knees against the cold. The city lights hummed faintly. She had just received another rejection email, another music label that didn't think her songs were marketable. Her throat felt tight. Graham walked by with his camera, stopped when he saw her, and quietly sat beside her. No questions, just presence. After a long silence, she whispered, "Do you ever feel like your dreams keep slipping away no matter how hard you hold on?" He looked at her carefully. "Every day." She turned her head. "Really, really?" he said. "My dad died last year. Since then, I feel like I'm filming life from the outside. Like I can't step into it anymore." Soft pain lived in his voice, unhidden, unguarded. Kate didn't reach for his hand. She didn't speak. She just let silence become a gentle blanket over them both. The moment didn't need fixing. It just needed witnessing. When he finally looked at her, his eyes had softened. "What about you?" he asked. She swallowed. "I keep writing songs about things I'm scared to say out loud." "And what would you say if you weren't scared?" She hesitated, then whispered, "I think I'm afraid I'm not enough for the things I want." He nodded, not in pity, but in understanding. "Maybe that's what makes you perfect for them." Her eyes filled with tears. She looked away quickly, embarrassed. Without thinking, Graham reached forward and pulled her into a gentle embrace. Not romantic, not possessive, just human, just warm, just real. And in that moment, something shifted in her chest. Maybe the scared bird finally found a place to rest. They became a quiet part of each other's days. He walked her home after late shifts. She made him tea in mismatched mugs. He filmed her singing softly in her living room. She wrote him small notes on his coffee cup sleeves. It was not loud love. It was gentle love, like sunlight sneaking onto a cold floor. They didn't label anything. They didn't rush. They simply existed together. One night, she brought him to Griffith Observatory. She told him she came here to breathe. He listened to her voice as she spoke about dreams and loneliness and music. And he realized he was falling, not fast, but deep. He filmed the city, then turned the camera toward her. "I want to remember you like this," he said softly, "before the world changes you." She smiled painfully. "What if it already has? Then I want to remember the part that survived." She looked at him with eyes full of fragile hope. Their relationship grew, not in dramatic scenes, but in soft evenings, long conversations, shared silences, and slow touches. Graham began filming a small documentary about musicians in the. He asked Kate to be part of it. She said yes, even though she was nervous. He filmed her at sunrise, guitar in hand, hair messy from sleep. He filmed her writing lyrics in the cafe bathroom during breaks. He filmed her singing on rooftops with the city glowing below. And the camera captured something she didn't realize she had. A quiet fire. Kate helped Graham face his grief too. She would sit beside him even when he said nothing, letting him feel whatever came without rushing him. When he talked about his father, she held his hand. When he cried, once, quietly, she didn't look away. Love, for them, wasn't fireworks. It was two broken things choosing to hold each other gently. One night, at a small open mic event, Kate performed a song Graham convinced her to share. The song was called, "Hold Me When I Break." It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Someone recorded it. It spread online. Within a week, an indie label reached out. They wanted to hear more. Kate cried when she read the email, this time from joy and fear mixed together. Graham held her, whispering, "You deserve this. Every bit of it." She believed him. Maybe for the first time in her life. Her life began to change. Slowly at first, then rapidly. She started working with producers. She spent long nights in studios. She had to cancel the usual evening walks. She had less time, less sleep, less quiet. Graham told her it was okay. He supported her fully, but inside, something small began to ache. Because the more she rose, the more he felt left behind. Kate's days became a blur. She tried her best to include him, sending late-night texts, leaving voicemails, inviting him to sessions. but everything felt rushed, fragmented. Graham pretended he was fine, but he wasn't. His documentary was rejected by 2 festivals. He started doubting himself again. He felt unworthy beside her growing light, and Kate noticed the change. He became quieter, more distant. One night, after a long recording session, she found him sitting alone in her apartment, staring at nothing. "You barely talk to me anymore," she whispered. He closed his eyes. "You have a whole world chasing you now, Kate. I'm just trying not to get in the way." "You're not in the way. You're the reason I even started believing in myself." He shook his head, voice breaking. "I don't want to become the weight you eventually have to cut loose." Her heart cracked. "You're not a weight." But he didn't believe her. Love sometimes breaks not through arguments, but through quiet doubts that grow too heavy. The label wanted Kate to go on a small tour across the West Coast. 3 months. Non-negotiable. Kate hesitated, afraid of leaving Graham behind. But this was her chance. The chance she had dreamed of since she could remember. She asked him what he thought. He smiled, a soft, painful smile. "Kate, you have to go. But what about us?" His throat tightened. "You'll still be you. I'll still be me. We'll figure it out." But deep inside, both of them knew the truth. Distance changes things, no matter how much love remains. He held her one last time before she left. She buried her face in his shoulder, whispering, "Don't let go." He whispered back, "Never." But sometimes promises break even when hearts don't want them to. Kate's tour was a success. Crowds sang her lyrics, blogs praised her voice, radio stations played her songs. She should have been happy. She tried to be, but on long nights in lonely hotel rooms, she closed her eyes and wished for Graham's arms. She saved every voicemail he ever left. She wrote new songs, most of them about him. Meanwhile, Graham's world felt dimmer without her. He stopped filming. He avoided people. He replayed videos of her singing on rooftops and felt like she was slipping further into the sky while he stayed on the ground. He loved her, deeply, but he also believed, wrongly, that letting her fly meant stepping out of the way. 3 months later, Kate rushed back to La as soon as her tour ended. She expected to fall into Graham's arms. She expected him to smile, to breathe again, to feel like home. But when she knocked on his door, his eyes looked tired. He hugged her carefully, not tightly. Something had changed. They spent the evening together, but it felt like speaking through glass. She tried to tell him stories from the road. He tried to listen, but the space between them felt bigger than the room. Later that night, she found a box on his shelf labeled, "For Kate." It held printed pictures of her tour, screenshots of her music articles, and the unfinished documentary, now edited into a short film titled, "The Girl Who Believed." She realized he had been supporting her from far away even when he was hurting. Her heart broke with love and sorrow. 4 days after she returned, they sat on the hill near Griffith Observatory. The same place where everything once felt possible. Now, the silence tasted different. "Katie," he said softly, using the nickname he rarely spoke. "You've become everything you were meant to be." She shook her head. "Not without you." He looked at the city lights. "Maybe I was just meant to be a chapter, not the whole book." Tears filled her eyes. "Don't say that." He swallowed hard. "You outgrew the version of life where I fit, and I'm so proud of you." "I am, but I don't know how to catch up." She grabbed his hand. "We can figure it out together." He looked at her with a grief-filled smile. "I don't want your dreams to shrink just so I can feel bigger." Her lip trembled. "I choose you." He touched her cheek. "I choose you too, but choosing each other doesn't mean we're meant to stay in the same place forever." A tear slid down his face. "And I love you too much," he whispered, "to hold you still." She broke then, silent sobs shaking her. He pulled her into a long, trembling embrace. The kind that breaks you, and holds you, and saves you, all at once. They didn't say the word goodbye. They just stayed in the embrace until the sky turned purple. Then they walked back to the parking lot holding hands but knowing they wouldn't be holding hands much longer. At her apartment door, she kissed him softly, slowly, memorizing him. He kissed her back, not desperately, not angrily, just full of love that had nowhere left to grow. "I'll always love you," she whispered. He smiled with tears in his eyes. "And I'll always carry you in every frame I film." She watched him leave. He didn't look back, not because he didn't love her, but because he wouldn't be able to walk away if he did. She fell to the floor after the door closed, sobbing into her palms. She felt like the city had taken something and given her something at the same time. That was love. It gave dreams. It asked for sacrifices. Years later, Kate became well known, not a superstar, but a respected voice in the indie world. Her fans loved her sad songs, her soft voice, her emotional truth. One of her most famous songs was titled, "The Power of Embrace." People said it felt like a goodbye wrapped inside a memory. They said it sounded like someone singing to a love she couldn't keep but would always hold close. They were right. Graham, meanwhile, became a quiet but successful cinematographer. He made a film that won small festivals. People admired his ability to capture human emotion with heartbreakingly soft light. His signature style was known as intimate melancholy. Few knew where he learned it. He never explained. One evening, at a film event, Graham watched a singer perform on stage. Kate, her hair shorter now, her presence stronger, her eyes deeper. She didn't see him in the audience. He didn't go speak to her afterward. He simply watched her with a soft ache. When she sang the final chorus, her voice cracked slightly, just enough to tell him she was singing from a place that still remembered him. And he smiled, not with sorrow, not with longing, with gratitude, because some loves don't fade. They just learn to live in a different part of the heart. One night, years later, Kate returned to Griffith Observatory. Alone this time, she looked at the glowing city, remembering the boy with the camera who taught her to believe she deserved to shine. She whispered into the wind, "Thank you." Somewhere across the city, Graham stood on a rooftop filming the skyline. The wind touched his cheek gently, and he smiled without knowing why. They no longer shared a life, but they shared a history, a soft, permanent thread between two souls who met in a city of late sunsets. Their story didn't end tragically, nor did it end with a fairy tale reunion. It ended the way many beautiful stories do, with love that lasted, even when life moved forward. A love that taught them how to let go, how to dream, how to embrace, how to heal. A love that lived quietly, in the spaces between their futures. A love that was exactly what it needed to be.